Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizicle, where we do everything card making. And today we are continuing with the Fruit Dragon series, and we'll be doing Kiwi, which is fun. I'm going to show you a few different ways, not like in person. I'm going to show you what I'm doing today, and then I'm going to give you like a few extra ideas on what you can do, and I'll do that now. So what I did was I cut circles. These are 2-inch circles. I did it on my scan and cut, but if you have dies that size, you can do it that way. So I cut just like 5 of those because I feel like that might be enough to fill up a background. We'll see. And I cut 5 white ones that I'm going to end up ink blending green into nothing in the center to make the kiwi, and then we'll just layer them for like a fun geometric kind of background. I'll add seeds in with a marker and stuff, and then we'll do that. Alternatively, you could use any kind of fruit stamps you have, any kind of background prints. I do have this mod fruit bowl from Ultinu. I don't know if it's still available. If it is, I'll link it down below just in case. But there are options for like a half kiwi with the seeds, and then you would put the rind on it. I was just thinking maybe in the future I could do some kind of like fruit backgrounds that might be fun. Like I can do a citrus background, and then instead of coloring them in for you, I could make it a background that you would color in yourself. That way it would just be outlines, and you could, you know, the citrus one could be good for lemons or limes or oranges or grapefruits or whatever, you know. And then maybe I could do a kiwi one, and then maybe a watermelon one or something. And then those would be, again, backgrounds you could color in, and maybe I could include like an outline version to color in and then a pre-colored version in case you are not interested in that, and just include it in the one pack. Like you would get the 3 prints, but you would get the outline and then the color. So let me know if you're interested in that. I really do enjoy doing the repeat prints that I've been doing, so I think that would be fun. But for today we're going to use this, and of course we're going to use this. If you guys haven't watched my very first video, this is the stamp that got me into stamping, because I had to have it. He's just so cute. I wish this was available digitally, so I could like blow it up and stuff, but you know, you do what you want with it. And then I've already colored a few of these for other cards, and I have the orange one and I have a dragon fruit version, so we'll be doing cards for those eventually. I did an orange one already, but I think this was my first version, and then I did another one and I changed the colors up slightly, but this dragon fruit one was also just like a test. So we'll be coloring today's to look like kiwi colors. I'll probably do the like spines, wings, horns and stuff, like the accessories of the dragon, in the brown to represent the rind. The dragon itself will be like a green color, and then maybe his belly will be like a white creamish color that you would get in the middle of the kiwi. Maybe even like a very, very light green. I think, I don't even know. I need to like Google a kiwi on the ends. I haven't had kiwi in a long time. I do love them. I'm pretty sure they're almost white in the middle. So maybe we can do like a light green into a white or something on his belly. And then maybe the pads of his feet or something to represent the center of the kiwi. And then we'll add little dots here and there. Kind of like what I did here for the dragon fruit and the orange one. I had little lines I did to represent like the pulp. So we'll get into doing that, and I will switch over to voiceover and talk through the process. Hey guys, voiceover Liz here. So I am just putting together my background, and this only took me about like 5 minutes to do all the ink blending and the gluing of these, so it was pretty quick. Originally I was going to do 3 layers of circles and do like a small one for the middle, but I ended up just ink blending like kind of like an ombre effect onto them, starting from the edges going in. And I think maybe if I was going to do this again, I would probably cut the 3 circles because I looked at a picture of kiwis after, and it is pretty much like a finite, like, white spot in the middle, and it does have like little lines coming out from it almost. So I would probably do it a little bit differently. So maybe next time if I did this background, I would do cut the colored cardstocks in the 3 colors. So I would do a white, a green, and the Kraft paper that I used. Although I do like the like softer ink blended version that I did here. And it's quick and simple again. Like I cut 5 of these. I probably should have cut a few extras just in case. I probably could have filled up the background a little bit more, but at the same time, I didn't want my little dragon to get too lost in the mix. So I think I did the right amount. Maybe, again, if I was going to do this next time, maybe I would cut some of them in half and then, you know, put some like half pieces throughout or into quarters, which would be simple enough to do. I think I made these like 2-inch circles for the biggest. So that you could just cut them down to little like 1-inch quarters and do it that way. But I really like how these ones turned out at the same time, so maybe I wouldn't change it. And for the seeds, this first one I kind of like just did like little random dots where the white was. This is not even centered at all. It's a little off. Which is fine. Not every fruit is going to be exactly in the middle. But for the rest of them, I think, or no. Okay, so it's for the third one I do it. So I thought while I was doing the second one that if I had something to kind of follow in a circular pattern, that it would be a little bit easier. So for the last 3 of these, I kind of just like put my ink blender in the center, and then I did like a row of the like, I don't know, little lines, I guess. I am kind of like just dotting them, but this is a bit of a brush tip too, so it kind of gives it that little bit of a point on the one end. So I used that as like the outer edge, and then I went in from there. Technically the first one and second one I did are probably a little bit more accurate to a kiwi because their seeds are a lot closer together, but I just like the evenness and the more round of the last 3 that I did. So again, I would probably do that portion the same. If I was doing this with the 3 different circles, I would just freehand them around a smaller circle, probably about the same size as this, or maybe go a little bit smaller. If you have circle dies would work great for this. I use my scan and cut. I do have circle dies, but my scan and cut does the same job a little bit quicker. So I just set it up to cut 5 2-inch circles and then 5 circles that were a little bit smaller. I think I did 1.8 for the smaller ones. And yeah, so that's what I did. If I was going to do the middle ones, I would maybe go down to 1/2 inch. For the smallest one in the middle, if you need some measurements there. So you would do a 1/2, a 1 3/4, and a 2 if you have those 3 dies and want to do it that way. It just does add layers to your card. You'll see here that I'm just kind of like gluing them in place, and I'm going to cut off all these bits that are hanging off the edge and then use those in another section just to help fill in the space a bit. And I sped up one of these sections to 5 times because I was just playing with it so much. Again, I probably should have cut like 6 or 7 of these, but I decided to do the 5. And then with these leftover bits, I was able to kind of like fill in the space a bit. Originally, I didn't want to overlap any of them, but I did end up overlapping some of them on the edges because, again, I wanted to fill in the space a little bit more. Like I have these little pieces I'm putting in between here, but I still have those other 2 pieces ready to go, so I am going to play around with those after and try to get them in there. So I am just gonna play around with that for like a hot minute. I think it took me like over 5 minutes to try to do this placement, and for some reason it was not clicking in that the you know, these are circles, so I can kind of angle them anyway. I was just trying to make them fit the way they are at the moment. And some of them have like the straight cut off edge because I had put them in the corners, so I had to cut straight across one side and then straight across the other side, so it left a little bit of a flat edge there. So after a little bit of time, I kind of realized that, hey, you can actually angle these. You just have to cut off a little bit more and just do it. This is where I'm figuring out now that I could just rotate them a little bit to make them fit where I want them. And I just overlapped them in 3 areas on the card wherever I thought that they looked best. And just kind of like, again, filled in that space a bit. I didn't want to fill in too much of the middle area because I do want the dragon to stand out a little bit. So I tried to keep that one section off to the right side there where I wanted to place him a little bit more open. So now I'm just coloring the dragon. I decided to use a pink to do the shading because once you know, overlay alcohol markers, you get different colors just because they're translucent. They're not fully opaque, and when you layer them, you get new colors. So if you put like a contrasting color or complementary color, I mean, behind it, it kind of gives you a bit of a neutral. So it just made it look like I had used maybe like a brown to shade. It was actually turned out to be a somewhat similar brown to the one I used for his like spines and wings and ears and whatnot, and little tufts of fur on his ears. But I just decided again to do that. I do want to do a coloring video at some point this year and kind of explain different coloring methods and techniques. So once I get around to that, you'll kind of understand a little bit more. I'll go a little bit more in depth. But you can see here that it's, again, pretty comparable in color. Like it's a little bit more muted maybe. You do somewhat see that's a bit of a pink underneath, but it does look good. You could always use a darker colored green like I normally do, but I find it sometimes it's just a little too monotone, so I like to do this sometimes to my images. And then of course we're gonna double stamp because it just makes it look nicer and brings back those lines. I'm gonna die cut it because I do have the dies for these, and it's a lot easier than putting one image through my scan and cut, which I do all the time at the same time, but when I have the dies, I try to use them as much as possible because it's easier for me just to, you know, lay a die down and throw it through my machine. And then I'm just trying to figure out placement. Now, I will change this in a little bit, which you'll see, but because I stamped this happy birthday on black cardstock and then kind of heat embossed it with the white, I am going to go around the edges of the dragon with the black, so it kind of looks like I colored it on the black. I did I did the same technique last week with the teacups because they were like blending into the background too much, and this is the same reason I did it with this one. It just looked a little bit nicer with the black around the edges because it kind of did the same thing as the happy birthday sentiment. Also, I want to apologize for my camera. I filmed the coloring portion the second day because I ran out of time doing it the previous day. I have a tendency to film things on my lunch breaks because I work from home 3 days a week, and I ran out of time to color it, and it was just the markers I was using were very, very juicy, and every time I touched it to paper, I would just kind of like explode almost. I do have that problem with 1 or 2 of the Olo markers. I don't know if there's just too much ink in the barrel or what, but it's just the dark green that I was using was just like, it's bleeding everywhere. So I kind of gave up on that. I ran out of time. Thought I would, I was originally going to get up early this morning and do it, but I ended up being lazy, sleeping in, and doing it on my lunch again. So I am just coloring that now. But also, my whole point to that, as I ramble on here, my camera, I thought it was in the exact same position I left it the day before, but it's on a little bit of an angle, which I didn't notice until I was editing this. So it's a little bit off. So I apologize if you didn't really see me stamping the happy birthday sentiment, but I was just stamping with clear ink on black cardstock and heat embossing that with white. And then here I am doing the outline in black, and it just makes it like pop a little bit more. I think it would be fun to maybe do this if you were to like stamp an image in a circle or something and then color the whole circle in another color as well. Maybe even the black. It just like looks so sharp with the black border around it. I don't know if it would be the same if I did it in a circle format. Maybe we'll try that at some point. But I do like the option when you're die cutting something that you can color the border a different color. And you know I like to do that when we do colored backgrounds. So sometimes I'll make the border match the background. If you have a close enough marker, you can do that. And then you don't have to worry about fussy cutting the edges or anything. But you do want to make sure you go around the edges like I am here. Again, sorry, I'm a little bit off camera. But you want to make sure your marker is on the side of the back, like I'm doing here, because sometimes the marker slips. And if it slips towards like your hand that you're using it with. Here, I'm propping it up on some foam tape. Probably should have added a little bit of cardstock in the background on these in-between layers here, because it is a little bit uneven, because there's 2 layers of cardstock in the middle of these kiwis, and then there's one on the edge, and then there's just the card base on the rest of it. But it still looks good. It's not terrible. I don't have a problem with this card. And then I am going to, originally I thought I was done, but then I forgot I didn't do the white highlights, and I didn't do anything in the background. It was looking a little empty to me, so I ended up adding white highlights to the dragon, and then I'm adding pops of color in the black gloss around, which I regret somewhat because I made a mess of it. One of the dots got a slightly smudged. It's not really that noticeable to me. And then one of them I touched, and then another one I think just like it's on the card right now. I'm looking at the card base. So I'm probably just going to cut the front panel off and put it onto a new card base. But yeah, anyway, that's our card for today, guys. I'll be back again Sunday for my holiday card hijinks, and we'll be making some fun snow globes without having any specialty dies. So we'll get started on Christmas cards because, you know, I'm already behind because I mentioned I needed a dozen cards every month to keep track, but I haven't even started, so we need to get started on those. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you again on Sunday. So until next time, thanks guys. Bye.